This is Football Night in America, served by Applebee's.
Welcome inside the studio, Maria Taylor alongside Mike Florio, Devin McCourty, and Jason Garrett, and we're here to break down what we've seen in Week 1. And let's start with the good, the really, really good, and that was the 49ers and everything that they displayed against the Steelers. It started on defense. They didn't let Kenny Pickett have anything, but in all phases of the game, Jason, it was a great Week 1.
The Niners came east, and they dominated the Steelers at their place, and it was all three phases. The defense is dominant. When you watch the tape and the defensive players leap off the tape, it's like, wow, that's what they have. That linebacker, Fred Warner's off the charts. And on offense, they have balance. McCaffrey ran it well. Purdy, this guy's won 8 games in a row. He's really good. They got weapons outside. Ayuk really showed up. It was really impressive for the Niners today.
Yeah, I think that's what you walk away. You say this 49ers team was the best complete team today of Week 1 because they did everything well. They turned the ball over on defense, and then Purdy capitalized by going and scoring touchdowns.
I think the key, too, was the way the 49ers jumped on them early. Fred Warner with the hit on Najee Harris, the Steelers running back. He told me after the game that set the tone. And then when it's 20-0, the Steelers aren't going to run the ball. They become completely and totally one-dimensional at that point. There were so many 49ers fans there. I saw it coming Friday, flying back from Kansas City through Dallas because there's no direct flight from Kansas City to Pittsburgh for some reason. So many 49ers fans on the plane. And when I got back, there were 49ers fans everywhere. That usually doesn't happen at a Steelers game where you got that many fans that are selling their tickets and the 49ers fans just took over. But Warner told me they felt that, and also Nick Bosa coming back gave those guys a lift. It just gave them a lift. Warner said on Wednesday it was just euphoria when they heard he was coming back because they thought they weren't going to have him. Sims and I noticed the press conference from Kyle Shanahan on Wednesday. It was the first time we ever saw him smile. They were just pumped up, and they came and they kicked the stuff out of them.
Oh, I like how you put good pause there. That was smooth.
Excellent.
Almost. Brock Purdy, though, passes for 220 yards. And remember, we weren't sure how he was going to look coming off of an off-season elbow surgery, but he didn't seem affected at all.
No, exactly where he left off before that injury. And he's got some crazy stat where it's like he's got the first guy with a passer rating of 95 or higher in his first 7 starts dating back to last year. One of those really specific but very impressive stats the NFL puts out every week. Brock Purdy is doing historic things statistically.
I spent a day with the Niners in training camp, and it's such a talented team. I love what Bosa said afterwards. He said, it's really fun to be on a good team. They are really good. Purdy, this guy was the last player taken in the draft. We all know the story. Yeah. It's amazing how well he has played for such a young player.
Hey, you know what's more fun than being on a good team? Making $34 million a year.
Yeah. I would take that. I'll sign up for that one in a heartbeat.
Being the highest paid defensive player. Yeah, I'll take that too. I guess you have to take this to the chest, but the Patriots got a loss at home with Tom Brady running out and leading the team. The Eagles, they didn't look explosive on offense, but the Patriots couldn't quite find the answers down the stretch.
Look, in New England, you don't usually talk about walking away and say, hey, this was a good game even though we lost. But I think for this team, they have to walk away like that. You're playing against a team that was in the Super Bowl last year. Nobody gave you a chance, and they really showed up and played good football for some of the game. I think the talk in the locker room and from Coach Belichick will be a complete game. Let's get off to a better start. Let's not turn the ball over, give up points when we're on offense. We don't want to live that way. But I think to start the season for New England and say, hey, we went out there and competed strong against the Eagles. They didn't want it, but they'll have to take it.
But that's not how they want to play, though, because they got behind. Mac Jones throws it 54 times in the game, and not many quarterbacks are built for that. He certainly is, and he's going to play better when he has a good running game and can be a complementary player within that offense. So getting that balance going, getting Zeke going, getting Ramondre Stevenson going, and running the football will be critical for them going forward.
Getting off to a better start.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, that's it. 29 rushing yards from Ezekiel Elliott, 25 from Ramondre Stevenson on 12 carries. If they're going to have a chance against, like, the Dolphins, they can't get into a shootout. They got to slow it down. They got to grind it out. And you're right, 54 passes from Mac Jones is not going to be the recipe for winning any games this year by the Patriots.
Okay, well, I'm not going to say concerned, but how do we feel about the Eagles' offense? This was one of the most explosive offenses from a season ago. Now, it was wet. It was rainy. There's a lot of things. It could be rain and rust. Who knows what it is? But your thoughts on what we saw from the offense?
I was kind of surprised the way they started the game. A lot of handoffs. I think Jalen Hurts threw 2 passes in the first drive. I just thought they would have been a little bit more aggressive, letting him go. He had a great season last year. The talk has been, is Jalen Hurts really the real deal? I think for this offense, you have to go back and say, hey, we played against a good defense in week 1, but we have to get more out of our offense because every game's not going to start with an interception, a pick 6, forcing a fumble. You got to get going on offense, especially for that team. You have a lot of good players. We want to be productive on offense.
No doubt. And their offensive coordinator last year is now the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. So there's going to be some transition for them there. But they have too many good pieces. It starts with their offensive line. They're awfully good. They can run it. They can run it different ways. They got a lot of weapons outside. I'm not concerned one bit about how they're going to play going forward.
The one question I have when the rest of the NFL has that whole offseason to look at what Jalen Hurts did last year and break it down. Bill Belichick had 7 months knowing that, not 7 months, but close enough. They know who we mean. 5 months, 4 months to get ready for this game, knowing it was week 1. You just wonder how much that carries over and what can Nick Sirianni do to counter it and get back to what they were doing last year. But it's just one game. That's the thing. It's one game, and we'll see where it goes from here.
One game, they got the win, too.
That's right.
Who cares if they were 4 for 13 on third down? It's not a big deal. We're not concerned about it. Let's talk about the Jordan Love taking over for the Packers, because the first time since 1992, we don't have Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre being the quarterback. That is a tough job to step into. He looked pretty comfortable, made great plays for the Packers.
You know, we were talking about this before the show. The Packers have 30 years of excellence. Even though they've only won 2 Super Bowls, they've been good, they've been solid, they've been competitive. They have an institution, they have an organization that knows how to put teams together. Draft and develop, draft and develop. And when they identified Jordan Love, traded up to get him, they knew they were getting something. And he sat 3 years. Well, Aaron Rodgers sat 3 years. And you take that first year and you figure out what a guy has. He's going to move toward his ceiling. There's been so much negativity about Jordan Love. I thought he looked great. And, you know, we saw some glimpses in the preseason that he could be really good. And, again, it's just one game. But to go into Chicago and play the way they did on both sides of the ball at a time when everybody's ready to say the Packers are dead, and I wouldn't say that yet.
I think it's a great debate about young quarterbacks. You know, Stroud plays, Bryce Young plays, Richardson plays. They all play the first week of their rookie year. And you understand why. You pick them high, you got to put them out there. We get all that. But maybe what's in the best interest of the quarterback over time is to sit. I've talked to Aaron Rodgers about this, and he's talked to Zach Wilson about it. It's going to be the best thing you can have, Zach Wilson, to sit and watch somebody else do it early on in your career. So you can understand the game, understand offensive football, defensive football, become stronger mentally, physically, all of that stuff. And for Aaron Rodgers to have done it in Green Bay, and now this formula working again for Jordan Love looked like a different player today than he did the last couple of years when he's had opportunities to play. It was like deer in the headlights a couple of years ago when he played against Kansas City. Not today. He looked comfortable. He looked confident. It's a pretty good formula. It's given him a chance to have some success.
And that could be the difference of just getting all of those starting reps. And then what helps a young quarterback? A good defense. And I think that's what we should talk about. This Packers defense went against Justin Fields, who really the only damage caused was when Justin Fields made the type of plays that only he can make, making guys miss, scrambling a little bit. But when they held him in the pocket, this defense played well. They got an interception out there. So I think this Packers defense, who at times last year struggled, really showed up today and played well for a Week 1 game.
Okay, let's keep with the theme of young quarterbacks. Justin Herbert going against Tua Tagovailoa. Remember, they went back-to-back in the draft, and ultimately it was Tua and Tyreek. It was unstoppable. We're just going to call it a track meet, I think, but the explosive offense for the Miami Dolphins picking up right where they left off last season.
Listen, when you turn on Miami's film and you're sitting there as a defensive coach, I don't think you ever get up from that seat and say, you know what?
We got this.
This week, we're going to go man-to-man on Tyreek Hill. You're going to go mano-a-mano, and you're going to shut him. That's not going to happen. I was kind of baffled that the Chargers played so much just one-on-one with Tyreek Hill. No safety over the top, no true double team really, and he made them pay for it, not just early, but all game. 200 yards receiving. I mean, maybe he really gets to that 2,000 yards this year.
Yeah, I think when you play Miami, I think you have to play soft. You have to play a shell defense with 2 deep safeties, and you have to force Mike McDaniel to run the football. Okay, he's the kid in the candy store with all this speed outside, right? So make him throw the ball underneath, rally and tackle him. Make him make another third down. Make him drive the ball 10, 11, 12 plays. You can't allow them to have these huge plays. Tua threw for 450 yards in this game. It's ridiculous. And the other piece that was interesting about this game to me was the Chargers, Kellen Moore, a lot of talk about Kellen doesn't like to run the ball.
Yep.
Last year, the Cowboys ran it 10th most in the NFL. He goes out there in his debut with the Chargers, and they run for well over 200 yards, and Herbert doesn't throw it that much. So it was interesting to see those guys play to the strength of their team against Miami's defense. Both those teams are going to be there as we keep going. I think the way to stop Miami, though, is make them drive it.
we're in this blender every week of trying to keep up with every single game. And there's always one game that I can't wait to watch all of it start to finish, and it's going to be this one, Chargers-Dolphins, to see the ebbs and flows, the back and forth. And the key is this. When it was time to make a play, what did Vic Fangio, the new defensive coordinator, do? He dialed up a couple of sacks. They kept the Chargers from getting down the field. So as good as that offense is, the defense has to doesn't have to make a bunch of plays, but it's got to make some timely plays. And the key is going to be keep Tua healthy. So far, so good. But what this offense can do is scary. And you know what? If they do double Tyreek Hill in the future, that's just going to open up everything else. Maybe they just pick their poison. We'll take our chances with Tyreek. Next week, if the Patriots double him, it's going to be somebody else who has 200 receiving yards.
I am so shocked that you didn't say that the game that you wanted to watch from start to finish was the Battle of Ohio, the Browns and the Bengals, which was really, a slugfest in the rain. Both teams looked a little rusty, but the Browns come out with the victory, and they have a lot of success against the Bengals historically.
To me, the Browns were the biggest wild card coming into this year. We didn't know what to expect from Deshaun Watson, second year with the team in the first full season they're going to have with him. We didn't know what to expect from the team. And they got Jim Schwartz as defensive coordinator, and we saw it against a Bengals team that they have traditionally done well against with Joe Burrow as the quarterback. And it was amazing to see it happen again. And it wasn't even close. And so this Browns team, that was, we didn't know which way it was going to skew. And so far, they're going to be potentially in that conversation with all those great teams in the AFC.
Yeah, and I thought Nick Chubb having a big day, over 100 yards again. Chubb continuously goes out there, whether it's a screen pass or short passes or just running the ball, getting a handoff. He dominates, and I thought that was the difference for Cleveland. Yes, they played really well on defense, but on offense, they were able to give him the ball, put the ball in his hands. He goes to work. It wasn't all on Deshaun Watson, and I think that's going to be the key for Cleveland.
Yeah, that's a great formula for them. Run the ball first and foremost, take some pressure off of Deshaun, and play great defense. And we talked about the speed of San Francisco's defense earlier. San Francisco doesn't do a lot on defense. Okay, they emphasize getting off the ball, sprinting to the football, being disruptive, all of that. Cleveland is not San Francisco, but they're playing the same way. Jim Schwartz gets there. They're going to get these defensive ends rushing up the field, trying to disrupt the quarterback in the running game as they go. They're playing fast. To hold Joe Burrow in that offense to less than 150 yards of total offense, it was pretty darn impressive.
Burrow was under 100 yards passing.
Amazing.
No one would have predicted that.
Yeah, 82 yards passing, 14 for 31, and they pulled him out, in the fourth quarter because nothing was getting done. So reset, and we'll see what the Bengals have for us in week 2. Let's also see what Matthew Berry has for us. Berry's DraftKings crowning moments. Matthew, take it away.
Thanks, Maria. Yeah, the DraftKings crowning moments for week number 1. $15 on Brandon Ayuk, the first player to score a touchdown. If you had bet that on Sunday at plus 9,000, that paid $1,365. $10 on Justice Hill to score 2 touchdowns at plus 16,000. That paid $1,610. And if you put $100 on the Arizona Cardinals race to 15 points at plus 255, that would have paid $255. DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the app and use promo code SNF when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours.
All right, guys, we're going to play a little speed round of fill in the blank. That means you just get one word, okay? So, don't go overboard here. You guys always try to mess up the instructions, but we're going to try to stick with it, okay, Devin? I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
Blank is the 0-1 team that looked the most impressive.
It's obvious, New England Patriots. I'm a former Patriot. I'm going with the Patriots. They look good against the NFC champions from last year. I'm going with them.
Do you not know what one word means?
I was just saying. I didn't hear anybody fill in the airspace, so I kept going.
Are you going to answer Patriots to everything all
I think he is. Who you got? 0-1 team.
You want any reason? To me, it's Indianapolis.
Okay.
Started the rookie quarterback. He was impressive. It was close against Jacksonville, a team that surprised everybody last year. Odds-on favorite to win that division. I like what they did.
I was going to say Colts, but I'll say Cardinals because I expected them to lose by 50 this week and every week. The fact that they're in position to win the game was stunning to me.
You thought Washington would score 50?
Well, no, but 40.
Okay, blank is the 1-0 team that gives you the most concern.
Washington.
Yeah,
Washington's 1-0, but they played a team that Mike Florio just said he thought would give up 50.
I'm going to say Baltimore. They were impressive, and Baltimore is going to be really good at the end of the year. But their offense is going to take a little time. Munkin is there. I just think it's going to be interesting how the whole thing works with Lamar. They got to keep some of the good stuff from Lamar as they grow and develop going
Remember,
forward.
J.K. Dobbins out now, and their tight end, Mark Andrews, was not available with that quad injury.
Yeah, I'll say the Ravens also because they have 2 injured offensive linemen. Marcus Williams, starting safety, is injured as well. And it was so weird because I saw the score continuing to go Baltimore's way, but it's like every time I looked up at that game, it's like, ooh, what are the Ravens doing? Like, it didn't fit. What I was seeing didn't fit with what happened, which may not be good news for the Texans, frankly.
Okay, I am not overacting about blank.
The Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, we talked about this team having a chance to be a good team. Kenny Pickett, they played against a really good San Francisco team, came out firing on all cylinders. Let's not blow this overboard. It's just week 1. Pittsburgh will be fine.
Cincinnati, still think they're going to be there as this thing unfolds. Burrow missed a lot of training camp. They have this rivalry with Cleveland, where they don't play particularly well. Over the course of the next 16 games, they'll be there.
I was going to say Minnesota, but I can't keep a straight face. I'm very concerned about Minnesota losing at home. On the
You
day
have a
their
lot of
owner,
baggage about
Bud
Minnesota.
Grant, and the old throwback uniforms. I'll go with you on Cincinnati, though. They lost at home to Pittsburgh last year. Joe Burrow had like 5 interceptions that day, I think.
Yeah.
He had the appendectomy in the preseason this year as the calf injury. They'll get it going, and they'll be fine.
Okay, blank delivered the best performance of the day.
All right, following off me saying Pittsburgh, don't overreact. San Francisco had the best performance of the day. Just looked like a complete team, looked like a team that is telling the world we are going to be Super Bowl contenders and we're going to walk away with the Super Bowl. That's how they came out in week 1.
I agree with San Francisco. They would be 1, but 2 for me are the Rams. The Rams have been left for dead.
Yeah.
Remember, they're done. You know, they had the thing. They have nobody left on their team, this, that, and the other thing. It's like they weren't even going to show up. They went up to Seattle. A lot of people thought a lot of Seattle, including me, after seeing them last year and seeing them in training camp. I like what Pete Carroll's doing up there. And they went up there and they got after him pretty good. They ran the ball well.
Yeah, I'll say Packers, similar reason as yours. You go face a division rival in their building. They still have to come to you. You get that sweep, you're far more likely to win the division instead of that team. And I think the Packers going to Soldier Field week 1 and doing what they did to the Bears gives them a nice lift moving forward.
Okay, Jason, you're the worst at the speed round. Florio is the best. Devin, you're a rookie, so I'm giving you a pass. I'm going to give you guys one extra question. What are you guys looking for in the Monday night game, Buffalo and the Jets?
Everybody's going to be talking about Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, but a lot has come out from Buffalo this year. Everybody's saying they think that they might fall off this year. They won't be as good. I want to see what they look like Monday Night Football. Josh Allen and this crew, can they get it going and still dominate the AFC East?
Hey, and talking about Josh Allen, you guys hear me talk about this a lot. Balanced teams win over the course of the NFL season. They have to be more balanced. They got to take some of the pressure and burden off of Josh Allen. I just want to see if they can run it. They can throw it to different guys. He doesn't have to put the city of Buffalo on his shoulders every week. If they do that, they have a chance to be a really good team this year.
I've said this a few times in the past couple of weeks, but I've never said it here, so I'm going to say it. The Bills, to me, are a Jenga tower about 20 moves in. And with each move, they start to wobble, and it feels like the whole thing's about to come down. And the whole Stephon Diggs thing, you know, when's he going to slam his helmet down on the ground? When's he going to get upset? When's he going to get frustrated? What's going to happen with the defense now that Sean McDermott's calling the plays and Leslie Frazier was basically the scapegoat for last year? It just feels like they got a lot of stuff happening. And it just feels like they're teetering on that brink of maybe falling apart. And they can go a long way toward proving they're not if they could beat the Jets in their building to start the season.
We're going to have such a fun group chat. One of the best things ever is Monday Night Football and the chat that we're all in. When you guys are going in, the gifts are amazing. It's going to be great. But we will see you guys week 2. Dolphins going on the road, taking on the Patriots. We'll get you set with Football Night in America at 7 Eastern on NBC and Peacock.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.